What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode 4 of My Summer Car. And in today's episode, I think we're gonna check on this stuff here. I think it's still going, but the van has spawned in. I think it must have already spawned in once and then it disappeared. I just didn't realise, because normally it's not facing that way. What we might do is we'll run over and grab the van now. Actually, no, maybe no, I think it does face that way in the initial spawn. Well, keys here. What's going on, big rig?
Ja, pakuuks tarviks sä pakuavaimia lainaa vai? Ota tästä.
Yeah, there we go, mate. That's what we came here for. And while we're here, we'll grab this stuff. Go on front seat, and we'll chuck the old turbo badge on car when we get back around. Righto. And because this thing's diesel, basically what you do, the best way to start it when it's cold is, it hasn't left as much fuel, is to wait for that light to go out. See, it just went out then. That is the light for your glow plugs. So when that light goes out, that means the glow plugs have heated up. And the car will start properly then. Might just... Okay, we'll get around there. So while we wait for that Killu to keep brewing, we might get a start on the extra engine bay stuff. We're getting pretty close to finishing this car now. Pull this thing off to the side here just in case we end up pulling the car out of the garage, out of the shed. Grab that. Chuck that down there. And grab this stuff. This stuff gets you absolutely paralytic. You'll be off your guts after this stuff. No need for backup. She's a fully. I'm gonna chuck this in the fridge. Not that we have much room, but we'll bring some of that down. Can't hear that bubbling now. It is still bubbling. has slowed right down, so it can't be too far off. I'm just wondering if that does end up completing today, what we might do, because we got the van and it'll be a little bit easier, might run over to Timo's and we'll see if he's restocked. But I don't think that'll happen until Friday. I could be wrong about that, but I think it might be worth checking. Righto, so we'll get a start on this extra stuff that goes in. So we'll start with the electronics, which just goes there. And that is two 8mm bolts. One on each side. And that's all we need for that. We'll do the fuel strainer, which goes pretty much in the same spot, just behind it and a little bit lower. So if we lean in, goes sort of down in this area. There we go. And I believe that is, yeah, that's 8mm as well. Should be able to, might lean in. There we go. Just the one bolt for that one. And we'll get a start on the radiator too. So we'll chuck that in. That goes just on the left hand side of the front here. And that's 7mm for that one. We have 4 bolts, 2 on each side. Okay. One down the bottom too. And same on the other side. Just come over here and sort of lean in. And now we need to do the hoses. These can be a little bit tricky. This one sort of goes down the bottom. Might try and... yeah, it can be a little bit of fiddling around getting this one in. Whoop, there it is. So it goes from the bottom of the radiator around, and there's another one that hooks in there and sort of comes around. And then there's one that goes from the top to the thermostat housing. So we'll get... that's the one that sort of loops around at the back there. Actually, we'll try from the front. There it was. There we go. So yeah, that one loops around to the back of the engine there. It has a little housing, and then it obviously makes its way around the head through to the thermostat, and then from the thermostat we put another hose on to go to the top of the radiator, which is this hose. Chuck him on. Get him on. There we go. And basically for all these we want screwdriver. So we'll start from the top here. Got one screw there. And then you got another screw there at the thermostat end, thermostat housing end. And might for this one. One on the back there, just above the alternator. And then this clamp here doesn't have a screw on it, but this one does. And then there's one just there on the bottom. And there we go, that's the full radiator loop. Now we can start doing the master cylinders. I think that's the clutch one, yep. They just go along the back, along the firewall there. We'll also chuck the brake master in as well. That pretty much goes just next to the clutch master. Just like that. And I believe up the top they're both 8mm. So you got on this one, actually it might be easier to see from the side, yeah. So you got one down the bottom there, one up the top, and this one has one on each side. So there's one there. We'll see if we can't. Might have to come around so we can see it. There we go. You can sort of just see it there. And with these, the master cylinders, they have to bolt up to the pedals inside the car. Okay, get that open. So if we come down here, we sort of just lean in. You can see that's the clutch pedal, and they're 9mm both of these, and then that's the brake. And that's all done for that. Now we'll do the linings for each one. Close that now. So we'll start with the clutch lining, I think, which is this one. This one's the easiest one to do out of the two. Might lean in and see if we can't get it. There we go. And the clutch lining, that has two 7mm bolts. It's 8, 7. So if we lean over, and you follow it around to the master, there's one that goes on the bottom of the master. With certain bolts like this, if they're on like a line, you have to use a spanner. So we'll grab our 7mm spanner. And just try and find... Did I grab 7mm then? Yeah. Oh, I don't have it out, that's why. So lean in. There we go. So it just bolts up to the bottom of the master cylinder for the clutch. And then we follow the line around. And just at the back of the gearbox housing where the slave cylinder is, it just bolts into the slave cylinder. And that's the clutch lining done. Now we'll do the brake lining. The brake lining's a little bit more comprehensive. So basically, with the clutch line, the brake lining. Oh, phone's ringing.
Hei, olen Simo Kumppani lehdestä.
Of course. Telemarketers. Can't get away from them in real life and in this game. It sounds like this has stopped bubbling now. No, it's still going. We'll leave that for a little bit. We'll probably get the engine pretty much ready to start, and then we'll come back and check on that. So we'll get this brake lining in now. That might be enough distance there. We'll lean over in. I had it just a second ago. This can be a pain to... There it is. Can be a little bit easier to do it from the side, just to see what you're doing, but I find it a little bit easier to actually line it up and then just sort of like move back and forth until you get it. I believe the brake lining is 7mm as well. So basically with this, we have one down there, which is where all the lines lead out to the wheels. And we have two that go up into the actual master cylinder itself. So that's 3. There's 11 in total. So there's 7 up the top here, and then there's 1 on each wheel. So you got 1 on the top of this little solenoid here. 2 on the sides. And 1 on the other side as well. And that's your 7 up top. And then we'll come around. You just poke your head in. And find the line there. You can see it comes down. And then you got your nut there. And that's the same for the other front wheel. Just follow the line down until you find the nut, and then do her up. And then on the back, it's a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same. You can see the lines there, and then there's a bolt. There's a little nut there on the front end of the trail arm. Hello. The wheels have come undone. It's interesting. Lucky I noticed that. Get this last nut done. And that's all the clutch lining done up. And I'm just going to quickly grab 13mm here. And we're going to go around, do this one up. Hopefully it's just the one. The game can tend to do that when you load back in sometimes. It tends to undo stuff sometimes. That one's good. That one's good. They all look good. That was just that back wheel. Just a little weird. Now we'll move on to the fuel tank. That just goes in the back underneath the car. Just like that. And we got 7 11mm bolts. That's on charge, yeah. So basically when we want to bolt the tank in, so that's 7 11mm bolts. The old 7-Eleven, mate. So 4 on this side. And if you come a little further in, you can see there's another 3 on this side. And then we've got this one that's got to be done up. That's 12 mil, and I believe we need the spanner for that one. So grab our 12 mil spanner. And right there, leading into the fuel tank. And that's the fuel tank done. And what we can do now is we'll chuck the pipe in, the filler pipe, because otherwise we won't be able to put any fuel in the car. There it goes. And that's all you need to do for that. There's no bolting in or anything. Now we can move on to the exhaust. So the exhaust is underneath in the pit. I find it easiest just to move it like that to the left a bit, and it'll sort of flatten out. And then you bring it up. Pretty much just want to bring it straight up, and you should get it pretty much straight away. And we want 7 mil for that. I believe we can use a socket for this. So we got one down the back here for the it's just a little hanger that holds the exhaust up, and then basically we want to go up to the front end and where it bolts in to the header. We want to do those 2 bolts up, and that's exhaust in. And then pretty much very similar with the muffler. Muffler just goes down the end here like that, and basically it has a little hanger up here as well. Can be a little tricky seeing the bolt, but you sort of just line that bracket up, and it's in the middle of that bracket. That's also a 7 mil. Right, so that's all the exhaust stuff in there, and we'll gear linkages, yes. So basically I normally just line this up like that. You want the actual little linkages out in front, and grab it from the back. And then basically we come in down the pit again. And it just goes up the front like that. You can sort of line it up. You can see where the bottom of the gear stick comes down, and then the linkage slots on there, and then it connects to the bottom of the gearbox. And then there's a nut just at the top of that little linkage there. And the linkages, they are 5 mil bolts. I believe you can use a socket for the linkage. So you got these 2 here. I haven't heard that kill you bloop, so it might be ready. Now the only other thing we've got to chuck in is the battery. And then it's pretty much just the wiring, which we use a little wiring mess here to do all that. What we're going to do though is we're just going to check on this Killiu. Just see if it bloops at all. honestly think it's ready. It doesn't look like it's ready though. Normally it goes clear and all the stuff sort of settles to the bottom. What is the time in game actually? Because what I might do... Yeah, it's too late anyway. Yeah, Flotari's is going to be a tomorrow job, and I'd say the kill you will be too. So, what we'll do is we'll get the wiring done up now. So, we'll grab the battery off charge here. And that just goes in like that. And then from there, we can grab our wiring mess. And basically, we want to start down the rear, because there's only 3 things to do in the boot. So basically, if you lean in, you can see the rear harness connector over this side. Just press F on that, and then run it out to your tail light. Do the same thing again to the other tail light. And then one more time on the rear harness. And just down here, you'll be able to find the fuel tank. Connect it to the fuel tank. And then that's the rear of the car done. That jack seems to want to try and get out of the car. Why is its little... Maybe because we pressed F near it. There we go. And we'll chuck that back in the boot. I don't believe you need that for the inspection, but it's just a good thing to have in the boot. Just in case you get a flat tire and you actually got a spare and you're out and about, you can just pull that jack out, jack the car up, take the tire off, swap them over, and then happy days. Alright. So now onto the front. Basically we want to go do the headlights first. So if you come to the side here, I need to get a little bit of distance on this wiring mess, just so we can reach everything. So if you lean in, and you can see this little plug down the front here, that's your front light connector. So if you connect to that, and then you come out, and just in the hole where the headlight goes, connect to there, you can see the wire come through. And then we basically want to do the same thing again from the front light connector to the other headlight. And then I've missed this one before, and this is important. The headlights won't work unless you come back in. You go from the front light connector up to the main harness connector, which is, give you a little bit of a better view. That didn't connect then. Interesting. There it goes. Yeah, the main harness connector's there. You'll connect a lot of things into that. Yeah, so that's run the headlights now. So they will work. So basically we want to go from, we'll start working from the main harness connector. And then we want to go down to this little box here, which is the regulator. And then back from the main harness connector, to the positive terminal on the battery. From the main harness connector to the ignition coil, which is that little black cylinder there. From the main harness connector down over here to, you have to come out to the radiator fan connector. And then basically that's the front end done. I'm just going to quickly grab a drink here. Might grab some food quickly as well. Some sausages. A little drinky poo. That did not quench our thirst too much at all. Yeah, it's still not done. As far as I know, you can take the lid off, provided you put it back on, it still works. I was hoping to get that done because the van's here, because I guarantee we'll wake up in the morning and it'll be gone. And then we'll have to go and do all that running around in the tractor, which is unfortunate. Would have been good if we already had the wheels done. We would have been able to take Satsuma, because it's not far off running. Basically now, pretty much the rest of the wiring is in the car. I might want to get just a teeny bit closer. We want a little bit of distance on it, but don't want it over in the next state. So basically, we're going to go here, come over here and lean in. That's your fuse box there. So if you sort of come out, get the fuse box there, and then from there, we want instrument panel 1, which is, there we go. So around about where the speedo is. So we connect to that. And then from the fuse box, again, we'll go from the fuse box to the ignition switch. Now it'll come up with ignition and ignition switch. You want the ignition switch, which is I believe the switch is just a little lower. So you can get the ignition to come up. The ignition switch is definitely not over that side, is it? Don't believe so. I believe it's around. It's gonna be a pain in the butt. Give me a minute here and I'll see if I can't figure out where the ignition switch is located. It's supposed to be on the steering column somewhere. There we go. So it's sort of like in the middle of the steering column. And I didn't hear that connect then, so we're going to go back to the fuse box. Always want to hear that sound, that one connected then. You can see the wire ran. Can be a little bit finicky like that, so always listen out for that noise. Otherwise, it's the game going, I'm going to screw you over right now. I know you clicked the fuse box, but I'm just going to have a laugh at your expense at this point. The game works in mysterious ways like that. I've had several times where I'm adamant that I wired everything up properly. There's a wire missing. And it's because you always got to listen out for that sound. If the sound didn't happen, the wiring didn't happen. It's as simple as that. That is the exact rule of thumb science to it. So now, we want to go back to the fuse box again. Now we can't. I'm just going to go... See, I won't find it again now. See, the game does weird stuff like this when you're wiring. This is why it's the most finicky job, the wiring. Now I won't find the fuse box because it's connected to something. What I'm going to do, I think if you drop the wiring mesh, it should reset. I think. I'm not 100% sure on that. Yeah, we can't find the fuse box. God damn it. I know it's wired up to the ignition now, because maybe we're still connected to the fuse box. Basically, we want to go to instrument panel 2. There we go. It seemed to have worked. And then from the radio, basically we want to find the radio harness, which if you have a look in, I believe... Actually, is the radio harness... That's the radio harness, I think. Yeah. So the radio harness is right next to the fuse box. And you just want to take that to the radio. So now the radio will work. And then from the dash harness connector, which that automatically connects to the main harness connector, we want to run to the light switch. It'll come up with... So we got the light switch there. So it'll come up with lights. That's just the actual like switch inside. You want it to come up with light switch. That's the actual connector in behind. And then the only other thing we've got to do... Actually, I'm going to go... Before I forget, we're going to quickly run down... Actually, I'm going to have a drink first. Quick drink. And while we've got the van, it's still daylight out, we're just going to quickly go down to the boat. This thing can be finicky too. Sometimes you can't find the ignition without actually being in drive mode. Handbrakes on. Okay. So, you just got to be careful doing this with the van down here. I've seen people the van will roll off into the drink, and you don't want that. It can be a pain in the butt to get out, so I sort of leave it a little bit back from the water, and I try to leave it on the actual dirt track there. We're going to grab all the stuff out of the boat here. The main thing we want right now is the AFR gauge. Just chuck all this in the back there. That's camera. Not exactly sure what the use of that is in the game. I think you can take screenshots with it, sort of, and it removes, like, the user interface and stuff, so all your need bars and stuff up the top, but you can do that anyway and just take a normal screenshot. You just press F2, and it cycles through the display for your user interface. So we got fireworks. We'll grab the lantern. This can be kind of useful, especially if you're doing the drunk guy missions, where you go and pick him up from the pub at 2 in the morning. You can leave that by the phone, and you can turn it on. I don't know whether it catches the house on fire. I can't say that I've ever had it happen, but at this point I really don't want to take too many risks with trying to set the house on fire again. But yeah, you can leave it by the phone and go to bed and have all the lights off, and if he rings at 2 in the morning and wakes you up, you can see your way to the phone. Actually, we'll, because we're going to use that. And I believe that's everything out of the boat now. So, just carefully back up here. Yeah. Much like pretty much any vehicle in this, the van in particular doesn't like off-roading at all. And bring all this stuff back up now. But we mainly wanted the AFR gauge. So we'll grab that. And now we can chuck that in the car. That just goes up here somewhere. No? Oh, we had it just then. Now I won't find it again. There we go. That just goes there. And basically we'll grab our wiring mess again. And we'll jump in here. And basically you want to go from the dash harness connector to the back of the AFR gauge. Now that's all wired up. That will work when we start the car. And now there's only a couple more things to wire up. I believe that's all for inside the car. So we're going to come back and go from the starter, which is down there. Find it. From the starter up to the positive terminal on the battery. And then from the negative terminal on the battery, just down around the same area. It's near the starter. That's the front light connector. Basically, there's a little not too sure where it is actually. Normally I end up finding it from this side. Can seem to find everything else. It's supposed to be a little like earth where you connect the just give me a moment. I'm going to clip this out and I'm going to try and find it. Okay, so that's the one thing I forgot. It earths to the starter, and basically it's that front bolt that I was talking about when we were doing the starter on the engine. Basically we want to come in here with 7mm, and just that front bolt there, we want to undo it. And then from there we can come grab our wiring mess again. There we go. Battery ground connector, and we can see that negative terminal has run now. The only other thing we need to do is go from the regulator to the alternator. So we'll do that quickly now. From the regulator over here to the alternator. And that is the wiring done. I'm just going to chuck that up there. And the car is all wired up now. So basically we just need to do fluids. And it'll be ready to kick over. How are we going for time here? The episodes have been a little bit long. So what I'm thinking about doing is we might end the episode off there. And in the next one, hopefully not only will our kill you be ready, and hopefully we still have the van ready and still there and Uncle doesn't end up taking it. We'll end up loading those in. We'll fill our kill you bottles up. We'll load them into the van too, and we'll go around. We'll drop the kill you off, get our money for that, drop them into Flatari. Normally that only takes about a day. I've had same day turnaround with him. If you get around there early enough and you come back home, you should get a call by the afternoon. Sometimes you get the call a little late because Flatari closes at 4 p.m. and quite often he'll call you at 4 on the dot. And it's like, well, I can't go and grab him until next day because you've just shut your store. What you can do, I believe, even if you leave the area, if you leave his front door open, you should be able to get in and grab them. Because it's much like Timo's. If you leave the front door open, it'll lock, but it'll stay open. I could be wrong about that, but we'll see what happens. And if that does happen, we'll test that. When I go around there, I'll leave his front door open. And if we get the call a little bit late, we'll go around and see if the door's still open. That way we can grab the tyres straight away. We don't have to wait until the next day. But we'll end her off there. It's pretty late anyway in the day. We'll try and get into bed here straight away. That way we can be up nice and early. Get everything done. Have a little drinky poo here. Tonight's effort. Couple of few dead soldiers, few fallen soldiers. We'll have a quick smoke outside. I refuse to smoke inside now. Oh, we got the turbo badge there. I might quickly chuck that on after the cigarette. I believe the only way you can set the house on fire with a cigarette is if you have one in your hand and then you go to sleep. That's just going off what the wiki says. But I don't trust it now. I'm not taking any more risks with setting the house on fire. Because it is it's not something you want to, like, you coming along, just picture you coming along in the boat on the shore and you can just see all the smoke bellowing from this area. And then as you get closer, you dock the boat up and you can sort of see the flames. I come running up and sure enough, she was well ablaze by the time I got back. Pretty much it had spread to every room. Every room was just slowly burning. And I was just like, oh god, what do you do? Apparently you can put it out. Basically, if you're at home and an appliance starts to smoke, the smoke alarm... Actually, that's something I will test right now. You can test the smoke alarm. Yep, she's working. That thing will go off and basically you know that something's smoking, and you have 30, I think it's 30 seconds to go run around the house, figure out which appliance it is, and quickly turn it off. And if you turn it off in time, it won't catch on fire. But if you go over the 30 seconds, it'll catch on fire. I believe you can put it out. I think the only way to put it out is with a fire extinguisher, though. I could be wrong there, I don't know. You can sort of get buckets of water. I'm not sure if that might... We can leave that there. Even if he takes the van, it'll just spawn out on the driveway, all that stuff. Go and have a quick shower, and then we'll jump into bed and end the episode off there, eh? Quick pedal in the shower. It's just the easiest way to do this, considering it does bump your dirtiness up a little bit. It's the best place to do it. Plus, like, it's a video game. I don't personally pee in the shower in real life. It's disgusting, and it's how you get tinea. But yeah, it's a video game, so you know, you can do what you want. Doesn't have any ramifications unless you pee through that wall while the battery's on charge in the garage. Then you're going to be in for dramas. But don't forget to smash that like button if you liked the video. Comment down below any suggestions you want to see in this series or any other series you want to see on the channel. And while you're at it, make sure you subscribe so you can stay in the loop with all the videos that I release. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Ay, ay, ay.
I do.